And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell Blanken, are Gimmick Infringement.
Everybody to the Gimmick Infringement podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blanken. Tyler, it is 10 p.m. Arizona time on a Sunday evening. Happy Labor Day, everybody. If you're listening to this, hopefully you get some rest. We had some wrestling this weekend. Tyler, how are you tonight?
I am so great. What a weekend it was. You and I were, well, you popped me before we came on, Brad. You were saying you're tired. I certainly could use some rest. Man, it's been a jam-packed weekend.
Yeah.
Lots of great matches, lots of storylines and questions to discuss. But all in all, I am doing so great, and as always, happy to be here with you. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Feel blessed that we got so much wrestling this weekend. I was trying to figure it out and I couldn't do it. I want to say today was 9 hours of wrestling, and then yesterday was another 4-ish. And that's not including SmackDown, Raw, Rampage, and Dynamite this week. Yeah.
So much. I'm sure Jess is just elated right now. If she could have every weekend like this one, I'm sure she would choose it, Brad.
She was so excited to find out how much wrestling would be this weekend that she told me, I'm really happy we got married and that we get to spend this life together of just wrestling all of the time. That's what she said. Those were her words.
That's a shoot.
Yeah. Yep. Including the F-bomb. Yep.
Well,
absolute shoot.
Shout out Carmen. Shout out Small Town USA. Shout out 19.
Speaking of F-bombs, we have to get into this right away. CM Punk. Before we started recording, the reason we're a little bit late is because CM Punk was at the media scrum, having some questions asked of him that he hasn't really addressed. And boy, was he shooting. Maybe not the best time to ask him incendiary questions is after he wins a world title, is bleeding all over a mat, and is just filled with piss and adrenaline. I don't know that I would go out there and be like, hey, remember that thing that made you really angry? You want to talk about that? Yeah. He just had like a 20-minute match. That was brutal.
He sure answered the questions.
He sure did.
He did not give a no comment.
Yeah. So Tyler, he was asked about both Colt Cabana and I think Hangman Page, or he just brought it up.
I think he just brought it up. No,
I think you're right. In the middle of the Colt, he bookended the Colt thing.
Exactly. For our listeners and viewers alike, Brad totally put me on to this media scrum. We were having some tech issues, and so we had about 5 to 10 minutes to spare. And Brad, you told me, hey, media scrum is on. Punk is shooting. I believe you hit me with the all caps on that one. I turned it on. I had to rewind a little bit. But yeah, he was discussing Colt Cabana and totally just inserted Hangman Page. He called him not a doofus. That's like an insult from the 90s. He said like this empty-headed.
I think he called him a dumbass.
Yeah.
Straight up called him a dumbass.
I was going to say a dumbass. And he said, because he shot on me in the ring for no reason. What did I ever do to him? And he called on one of the people in the media scrum. He said, Dave, I don't know if it was Dave Meltzer, but he said, Dave, tell me, what did I ever do to deserve that treatment? Dave didn't say anything, and Punk was like, okay, my point exactly. And then he proceeded to eat his baked goods. I think it was like a chocolate chip cookie from some local restaurant.
I couldn't even.
It was a lot, man. It was a lot to process. But you put me onto this. You put me onto this, and I just want to say one more thing, then pass it back to you. You were transcribing some of the media scrum. You did a great job, by the way, on the AEW media call. I don't know if we're going to have time to get to that, but you were on the media call for All Out, and I know you had a really cool experience. So your skills are translating here. You typed 2 quotes I see. Punk said he's tired of wrestling these kids that think they know everything. He says, but I'm not the boss. I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Regarding MJF, who I know we'll get to, Punk said the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you want it to be. Max shits where he waters his grass. Brad, to buffer or piggyback on your point, yeah, man, that scrum was only 15 to 25 minutes, but boy, oh boy, did we get some quotes.
Yes, and he also brought up at the end, he had finished his thing about Colt, and then Tony started speaking, and then Punk cut him off and said, with F-bomb being in place of breathing, Punk was just laying into it. And he said of Colt, well, the whole thing was he wanted to sue me and he wanted this amount of money. And I said, I'll just pay him money. And he wanted to go through with the lawsuit anyway. So it tells you what kind of character he has. And that's basically what he said. And I was like, man, this is just, it's not a great look. It feels like heel work from our babyface champion here, who's about to go in with a giant heel. And I don't know if
I
the
smell a
crowd's
double
gonna see it
turn
that way.
I smell
it
a double turn here.
Absolutely has to happen, and I don't think it will with Stokely running his diet retribution group tonight, coming out in the all black.
Do you have a scoop? Are they going to be called Redemption? I heard that. I heard that slip there.
I don't know what I was trying to say, Tyler. I'm running on fumes here. Like they could be called Redeemer Light. They could be called Redemption. They could be called Retribution. They could be called. Yeah. I don't. Billy Bob Thornton. I don't. It doesn't matter. Who cares what they're called? Like they're bad guys, and they're obviously bad guys. They cheated to win the casino ladder match, which I hated, even though I popped for Stoke. Like I hate that stuff. Like don't do it during a ladder match like that. Yeah. It just bothers me. Like people are gonna nearly die out there on those ladders, and you're gonna have somebody just cheat to win with 800 other guys in all black, and that I could have had MJF just come out there. It would have been fine. But I liked what they did storyline wise. I hated how that match ended up. But CM Punk, new champ, second two-time champ next to Jon Moxley.
That's right.
Now an undisputed champion in AEW. And great match. Weird post-show interview. Like, there's more to talk about from that than there is from the actual show.
It kind of feels that way, doesn't it?
I don't think it can be understated what he was saying in there about Tony and other people saying there's no tension, there's no turmoil, people are blowing it out of proportion, and then Punk saying the ridiculous amount of tension and turmoil backstage. Those were his words, tension and turmoil. He brought up kind of confirms like there's really legit tension and turmoil with Malachi Black seemingly taking time off for his mental health. And I hope that he gets whatever he needs. But it's not really looking great for locker room morale right now. It's also not a company with a lot of structure. And when you don't have a lot of structure, this is the kind of stuff that happens. Nobody knows who is feeding who here. And there's no creative team to complain to. It's just you and Tony. And that's kind of it in terms of who makes decisions. And yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. The post game or the post show presser, the media scrum felt uncomfortable. I don't really know if I have a better word for that than uncomfortable.
I think you nailed it. Punk also, final point I want to mention is that Punk also brought up the EVPs.
Oh yes,
seemed to shoot on them as well, which is very much related to your comment just now about tension and locker room and maybe stories being blown out of proportion. We know Punk's always been critical of the wrestling journalists, and I think he would probably put journalists in quotation marks. He's always been critical of their reporting and then maybe turning fiction into facts. But yeah, Punk also mentioned the EVPs and how they're not doing a great job. So yeah, Brad, it was hard to tell. I mean, I guess like the greatest wrestling stories and builds are, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not.
Right.
But it really seemed like Punk was just shooting and really was speaking what was on his mind. Part of me wonders if the Colt Cabana question would have even come up if it wasn't for their location. If they didn't have this event from Chicago, would Colt be a subject? Maybe, but to me, a large influence was they're in Chicago, and we know as much as CM Punk is adored there, Colt is also a huge hero for the wrestling community.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it was. The thing is, you and I are big CM Punk fans. I have a sticker of this man on my car, Brad. The best in the world logo. I know you have the T-shirt. Like, we are CM Punk guys. I gotta say, when he goes into this shooting mode, I don't know how to feel about it. Granted, we don't know these people at all. We don't know what's real and what's not. I don't think we have to choose a side always, but this just seems. I don't know how to feel about it. As a fan of the guy,
Yeah.
it doesn't encourage me. It doesn't make me feel like, oh yeah, I love this dude. Like, look at him tell these people what's on his mind. It's kind of like, oh man, is he? What's going on with him? And
Yeah.
Should I support him as much as I do? Maybe, but how do you feel about it? I thought it was uncomfortable, just like you did.
I thought it was brutal. Like, because I also like Kenny Omega and I like the Young Bucks and I like Hangman Adam Page.
We love Hangman. Right?
Hangman seems like a really good dude, and he went.
Yes.
I don't really understand that he went to business for himself in that promo, because I don't know what was approved and what wasn't approved.
Right.
And I don't really know what he meant by that. And saying like he felt like he had to go out of his way to do that because the EVPs and Tony tried to say, like, if anything happened there, that was my fault. And he's like, well, I appreciate you saying that, but it's not. I was like, well, kind of is. Like, if you're in charge of those things, you're in charge.
Yeah.
The end. It's why, despite the creative not being great in WWE, I think we can safely say that, since it seems like all the writers are still there that were there when Vince was there, that it ain't the writers' faults, right? Like,
Right.
things have been really good over there, and it just seems like going, no, this is stupid. Let's not do that. Is probably all that's happening.
Yeah.
Or this is the direction I want to go. Make something for it. Seems a little bit more clear, rather than rewriting the script in the last 3 minutes or having rematch after rematch, with AEW not having anything there and not screening those promos. We get stuff like what happened with Eddie Kingston going after Sammy Guevara and getting suspended. So yeah, seeing Punk like that. The funny thing is that he's putting over, it seems like he's putting over talent that he's worked with in the past that are older guys that are all from the WWE system. He's not putting over older guys that were not. Like, clearly he didn't have much to say about Colt Cabana there. So like, it's so difficult to navigate this stuff because, like you said, we don't really know what's real and what's not. I think we can safely say with all certainty that everything you said about Colt and Hangman was real. It doesn't really feel like he's lying when he's in a scrum. Feels like he's telling all of the truth, which maybe that's the mark of talent and being able to hide what's real.
Yeah,
but
he's a talented guy, absolutely.
But it absolutely did not seem like that. That was real.
Yeah.
All the reports said that the Hangman heat was real.
Right.
The stuff that they did build was the Moxley Punk program, where it felt like real heat, and it doesn't sound like there's any heat there at all.
Yeah, he had kind words to say about Mox in the scrum, and he also gave a shout out to Adam Cole.
Yeah, and those guys are. Yeah, Adam Cole is totally different than Jon Moxley or CM Punk, but the way that he stated about Adam Cole made me think Adam Cole is really, really hurt. If he's saying stuff like, I hope he gets healthy, forget coming back to the business, I'm worried about him.
Yeah.
Like, oh hell. So
yeah,
I don't even know what's up. I don't know if it's his back or his head or something. Man, I hope he can figure it out.
Between injuries and backstage heat, and there's just so much going on now, man, that it is, aside from just what do we think of the match and its quality and the booking, there's so many other storylines right now that on one hand make this all interesting, but on the other leave me feeling a little confused, like you said, at what's reality and what's fiction, and where should taking my GI hat off, I guess, for a moment, like, where do my quote unquote loyalties lie? And again, like with Punk and Hangman, these are two dudes who I really enjoy. Maybe I don't have to choose a side. Maybe I don't know who's in the right here. If Punk is justified to be angry, if Hangman, it's a lot to take in. But like you said, certainly so many storylines coming into this show, all out that is, and just as many leaving it, Brad.
So I think part of it too is that You and I have been watching it. You've been watching AEW since the very beginning. I've watched since second year, but
Yeah,
not
you were
quite the
not.
second year. I was a year one, but like tail end of year
Yeah,
one.
you were not too long after.
No.
You saw me wear the T-shirt to our PLC,
Yeah.
our department meeting, and I had you covered from there.
I think I started watching before the 1 year anniversary
For sure.
and of Dynamite, and like an AEW pay-per-view was my first pay-per-view. Like I never paid for a pay-per-view before, so it was my first one.
Yes.
I think we feel a certain sense of brand loyalty there because we've been there since the beginning. We've been watching this thing grow from nothing, literal nothing. So I don't feel that with WWE. I also feel detached emotionally from this WWE stuff because it feels corporate. Easiest way to explain what that feels like. It feels very corporate, very safe, very polished, which is good. Because then it's different. It's not the WWF that I grew up with. It is not the Attitude Era. It's not before that. It's not like the crowd thinks this might be real and there's lots of smoke in the air, and it's not from pyro. It's just from like Gary smoking cigarettes in the third row. It's so different, and then AEW feels more like that old stuff. But it's absolutely Wild West territory in there. So it's difficult to know what's real, what's not. But I think from a fan perspective, I'm much more protective of AEW because they're brand new and they need more protection. I feel like they need more defending. But then when I put on my GI hat and I look at it kind of objectively, I'm like, why am I defending something like this? I have nothing to do with this. We are simply talking about it, and we are excited about good professional wrestling and good storylines. And I kind of hate that we're even talking about this. We are 16 minutes in and we've not talked about the matches yet. We've talked about CM Punk and a media scrum, and those storylines, although interesting, are not what the shows are all about. Usually, sometimes they are, but like I talked to Jess in the hallway. I probably bored her to tears yesterday about how excited I was to hear about these different things and contracts and how this stuff comes up in terms of pay and length of time and how does this work. Like, scenario for you, for example, I find this interesting. People are members of the Screen Actors Guild. If they're actors, they become part of the actors union, essentially. If you are a wrestler, you are credited with IMDb episodes because you were an actor acting on television, on Screen Actors Guild members, but you can't be part of Screen Actors Guild for professional wrestling. Plus you're an independent contractor. So what does that even mean? So they can't be part of the Screen Actors Guild. They can't ever win a Golden Globe. They can't win a SAG award. They can't do any of those things, even though they are performing on TV and they are acting more often than not. So what protects any of these people? And the answer is nothing. And it's kind of terrifying to think of it that way. Like they have nothing. They have themselves and their agent and the hope that they'll do right by them. And the WWE provides this giant corporate structure that has all of these things in place to make sure that stuff happens. And there's people that follow up on that stuff. And there's a headquarters and there's a team and a structure. And I think that's incredible. And they can do global branding that way. They have marketing teams and all this. And it very much feels like AEW has like a shed out back with like an in-window air conditioner that rattles. They probably have the streamers on it.
Definitely
when it blows.
rattling and streamers.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's just like 5 people in there with laptops and they're doing all of it. There's like an unpaid intern doing the media for all of the media accounts.
Yeah, they really are. As much as we enjoy a lot of what they do, they really are such a baby in terms of being a company. Like they obviously have kinks to work out. And I think your analogy there, although funny, is not
I don't know how far off it is.
Is not entirely inaccurate. They in terms of polish. On one hand, I think we enjoy that it's less polished, but then there are these moments.
That's the appeal.
Then there are these moments though where we're like, oh yeah, they are not a flawless company, it would seem.
Well, like the end of the Eddie Kingston, we can get into the matches now here, or just talk about the event, which I think is what we were going to do.
Let's do it.
Eddie Kingston and Ishii at the end. Ishii lost. They chopped the shit out of each other, and at the end, Eddie got the pin, but wanted to show respect to Ishii by raising his hand and letting him be acknowledged. And Ishii basically was like, "Get the bleep out of here. I don't want to do that." Which, obviously, from all of the things that happened in that last minute or two when they were leaving at the end of the 0 hour, there had been no prior communication at all about the post-match angle. Eddie was trying to do right by Ishii. Ishii was just like, "No, I'm hurt and I'm pissed. I'm going to sell that." I don't know how fluent his English is, and I don't know if that communication was very good there, but it made it really, really awkward. Like really awkward. And luckily commentary covered by calling it a rubber match, or saying like that leaves room for a rubber match since they're 1-1 in their singles matches. And sure, give me that again. That'd be great. I'd love that. Does Ishii know that? Because I don't think he knows it. For all I know, he's still wandering around the ring selling. So I don't have a clue what's going on there. I don't think they do either, which was sort of the problem. There was a couple of awkward moments tonight where I was like, "Wow, this is awkward. This is really awkward."
What are some other ones on your mind?
Well, number one, Ruby getting dumped on her head, and then Ty breaking her face. Accidents happen, but to Ruby, they happen a lot, and it happened twice in the same match. I really feel for her. Hopefully her nose heals up fast and she can recover and get back. I'm trying to think of what the other one was. It was not long after the Ishii thing, so it must have been the beginning. Oh, it was all the weird stuff in the ladder match. There was just a couple of weird spots.
Of course.
The Cesaro thing.
Talk about it.
So
the tipping over the ladder.
Tipping over the ladder was just so weird. It's not what was supposed to happen. I think we can agree on that Andrade was not supposed to be riding on top of that.
It took so long. Yeah, it looked like he was just when you get together with your cousins at their 10th birthday party when the parents are inside in the kitchen and you have this 3 minutes to capitalize on whatever activity you want that they're gonna not let you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're gonna hide it as soon as they open the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's felt like what was happening. And the thing, if you want to talk about this, the thing that bothered you the most, and it also really made me mad too. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I don't think we're going chronologically, so that's my bad. Before the Andrade,
we don't need to.
Andrade surfing on the ladder, and this is not unique to this match, but for whatever reason, it really bugged me. And frankly, Brad, I don't want to sound too snobberish, but it really took me out of this match. When Andrade and Rush were in the ring together. So Andrade's music hits, he's the next entrant, and they were in the ring alone. I haven't watched it back. This was the first match on the card, so I saw this about 4 hours ago. They were in the ring by themselves, Brad, for what felt like an eternity, which in reality was probably anywhere from 30 seconds more. Would you say that's a fair estimate? At least 30 seconds?
More than 30
exaggerating?
Seconds. I think it was more than 30 seconds. Yeah.
They were in the match. And with these casino rules, you can win whenever. You don't have to wait for all 6-7 men to get in the ring.
Right.
We've seen that in many ladder matches before. WWE, AEW, Impact, everywhere, where people have the chance to win, but they don't because we know it's not going to be over that quickly. But this felt really flagrant to me. Either of them had a chance to win. And instead, they grab a second ladder. They wedge it in between the middle rung of the standing ladder. And then, of course, Andrade sunset bombs Yuta through that a few minutes later. But it was incredible. Yes. And shout out to these performers for putting their bodies on the line solely for our entertainment. But I was done with the match at that point, Brad. It really took me out that Rush or Andrade could have won, match over. No need for Stokely Enterprises. It would have been done. I didn't like that, and it really affected my enjoyment of the match, quite frankly.
I hated that too. It was like, why are you just standing there? Why? This happens all the time in ladder matches. It's why I don't like giant ladder matches. If it's a ladder match, like if we're going to go Michaels Hall ladder match, where it's just one-on-one, those are the best
Yeah.
because you get all the same craziness, but it makes more sense because if somebody's laid out on the floor, go climb the ladder. If they
Yeah,
get there on time, they get there on time.
the slow climb.
Yeah.
That's one thing, but just not capitalizing on it. And it wasn't even like clearly Roosh and Andrade were on the same page. So my understanding is Andrade could have climbed and taken it while Roosh was standing guard in the ring to fend off Phoenix and I forget who was in. Oh, Yuta. He could have.
But that was.
It's not like they were fighting each other. It was just terrible.
Well, that was the other part about it. It wasn't just what happened in the match. It was them getting to the damn ring. Like
Right.
Yuta was standing with the ladder and started climbing it quickly, very quickly.
Yeah.
Yuta looked out, saw Roosh was coming, and went, "Oh, F this," and just started climbing the ladder. And he got all the way to the top. And I know Roosh was probably supposed to be the one to stop him, but his entrance takes 6 minutes.
Exactly.
So by the time he got to the ring, Phoenix had to get up off the floor and run up the ladder and grab his foot and pull him back down. Otherwise, he was going up there. And I was just like, I like that it made sense that Yuta was like, well, screw this. I can win right now.
Right.
That was great.
And shout out to Dante Martin, his sense of urgency in the match.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Helped bring me back because it seemed like at any chance he got, if he had a chance to climb, if he was being propelled in the air by Claudio, Dante's sole purpose was not to beat up people. It was just to try to climb the ladder quicker than anyone else, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I thought this match was fun. There were a lot of really great spots. There was some awkward stuff. We also had Retribution showed up on this show.
What did you think of that?
I hated it so much, Tyler. You got 9 guys, 8 guys, 6 guys, whatever, however many people you have in a ladder match. They're all trying to climb a ladder. And then like a bunch of people in black come running out and Stokely Hathaway gets the chip for the top and hands it to the Joker, which is, it's fine. I'm glad the Joker won. It's what we both predicted, I think, because we knew who the Joker was before they announced it. It's the only thing that made sense. Obviously, it was Bray Wyatt. So we had Stoke got on the ladder, took off his mask, and everybody was like, "Oh, it was a great swerve." I didn't need everybody out there unmasking. Like I didn't like. It just really bothered me. It felt like a way to get a bunch of people on the show.
Did you see Lee Moriarty telling Morrissey? He was like, "Hey, dude, it's your turn to take off the mask." Morrissey kept the mask on at first. Moriarty had to give him like a little bit of an elbow bump, like, "My man, it's your turn."
Yeah.
Did you know it was Stokely's group immediately when you saw 5, 6 dudes come out?
Yeah, it was obvious.
Yeah, I agree.
Morrissey stood out like a sore thumb. Yeah. He's 9 feet tall.
He's hard to miss.
Like, yeah. He wasn't little Cass. So
no,
no,
not at all.
No.
But you were saying Stoke climbs the ladder.
You can't teach that.
No, you can't.
Yes.
He grabs the chip,
climbed the ladder, got the chip.
Yep.
Unmasked. And I thought the crowd reaction was great because we haven't seen him. He dipped off Twitter and he's been kind of secretive. And then he hands it to the devil, MJF, in a mask. We find out at the end, we confirm it at the end, even though we all knew the sassy finger wag and that walk was absolutely MJF. Everything about it screamed MJF. We all knew he had designer shoes on, like it was MJF. So yeah, that was fine. I guess in a ladder match with no rules with all those other people, I don't want other people breaking the rules. Like I don't want another force to enter because it negates everything everybody else did. I don't think MJF should win a single thing from here on out. Not because he doesn't deserve it, but I feel like every single person in that ladder match should want to kick his ass every time he has a match. Like he's winning, he's about to get the pin, and Claudio comes up, kicks him in the face, and then it ends his match.
Swiss uppercuts.
Yeah, just spins him around a couple times, eats him into the sun.
I mean, maybe we get that 5-on-5 MJF's crew versus.
I'm sure it'll happen, and it'll be great. Whatever. I didn't want to see it in the ladder match.
Sure. No, I would hold a grudge too. They, they put their bodies on the line, and
that match especially.
Yeah, and then MJF's guys come out, Stokely grabs it, and like you said, I think all of us were assuming, okay, that's MJF clearly, and we obviously were able to confirm that later on in the show by the end.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I didn't love the angle, but it doesn't mean that other people didn't. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. It wasn't for me.
Yeah,
we had the trios tournament. Trios, whew, boy, what a match. Alex Reynolds with a beard has become like 100 times better than he was before the beard.
I knew you were going there. I texted you Reynolds rules specifically for this reason, because you were, I don't want to use the word critical, but you were not as
I hated his guts.
You were not as high on him when he was clean shaven.
Absolute charisma vacuum. Boring as all sin. Like, just so boring. Like, what is Alex Reynolds' character other than wrestler who is in Dark Order? Like, Evil Uno has a thing. I know when Evil Uno, I know how he carries himself. I know what he looks like. I know how he speaks. I know all of that stuff. Johnny Hungy, the Meat Man, John Silver.
Oh, charisma magnet. Yeah.
Yes. Easy to figure out, right? Even 10, like silent, but a giant murder guy, wearing a Deathstroke mask for some reason. And then everybody else has quit or been released. And also Alex Reynolds is there. Like, he has no character other than he is John Silver's tag team partner. So it's really hard. I think it's not the work that he put in. It's not that he wasn't a competent worker. It's that, like, I don't know what I'm watching here. Like, I'm just watching some random indie guy with no name. He's like, create a character. And whatever happened with that beard, it like absorbs magic from time and space and just made him instantly more charismatic and enjoyable to watch. I don't get it, but he never should shave that thing off ever for as long as he is in professional wrestling, because it made him better. And he was great in this match. I thought Dark Order looked fantastic in this match. So great that I wanted them to win, even though I knew and picked the Elite to win. I really wanted that to happen. And I don't know if this leads to the falling out between Dark Order and Hangman. It feels like that's where they're headed here. I don't really know what it means for the injured 10 and then Evil Uno, who is probably heading to ROH. Like, what does all of this mean in the grand scheme of things? So I'm excited to see how this stuff plays out. But Silver and Reynolds, I think they kind of punched their ticket to be in the category of contender from here on out for tag team championships and stuff. I really do.
Wow, we love to hear it. Yeah, I was so happy for these guys. They showed out. Everyone in this match was
this match was great.
I love all of the spots here. And like you said, Brad, it was really no surprise, as much as maybe we were pulling for the upset victory for Dark Order and Hangman. These belts seemed really created in many ways for the Elite to be the inaugural champs. Yeah. We got shirtless Kenny Omega, the compression shirt. I think I mistakenly called it a swim shirt. That was a little disrespectful. The compression shirt was...
Keith Lee has haunted you.
Later stage WWE Keith Lee. What an abomination they did to him. Man, Kenny Omega looked incredible physically. Obviously, in ring, he was fantastic. The Young Bucks have a shoe deal now. We can get their shoes at Champ Sports soon. What do you think, Brad? Those are going to go for like a smooth 130?
I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm not buying them.
Yeah, they look pretty cool though. That makes so much sense to me that they would get a shoe deal.
Absolutely.
It was
100%.
It was a fun match. I'm hopeful for where this trios division could go. And if you're telling me that the recruitment specialists are going to be perennial tag title contenders, I say yes, please.
I mean, they're great. They have their stuff that they do that I really like. Like, there's nothing more fun in the world than a John Silver hot tag when he gets going on the outside.
Yes.
And just takes out an entire team of people.
Yeah. Did he wipe out Nakazawa?
Yes, he did. He took out Cutler and Nakazawa.
And Cutler was trying to spray him.
Yeah, he's trying
to when you try to get a fly or an insect. He was just Silver just wiped him out with his hand.
Yeah, it was so good.
So
it was so good.
I need a TNT title run for him at some point. I agree. Say that.
I agree. I loved the Jackson Hangman callback to the title match where he kind of nodded. He gave him permission.
Yes.
But this time going, no, you
grabs his leg
this time. Yeah. But I also really like that Hangman got involved and was like, what are you doing trying to take out his shoulder? He just got back. And Dark Order getting pissed. And then Kenny getting pissed. Like, really? You're going after my shoulder? It's like that. And not realizing Hangman tried to stop it. Yeah.
Right.
I thought that match told an incredible story. that the storytelling, I thought in that match was second only to what happened in the main event. Really, really liked it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jade beat Athena in a absolute slugfest. Layla Gray was defeated by a barricade. I believe she's still in it.
I think that was my biggest pop of the whole match.
Yeah, me too.
Was that
far
drop
away.
kick Athena gave Layla Grace? Oh my
boy!
If people tell you, Brad, I know you're very passionate about this. If people tell you wrestling is fake, bro,
yeah, go take
you
that.
show them two pictures. You show them Sheamus's chest from
this
weekend, and you show them a 3-second clip of Athena drop kicking Layla Grace into the guardrail.
Yeah, and I have nothing else to add to this match.
Yeah, I'm really yearning for. I mean, I just have so much admiration and respect for both of these women and Kiera Hogan and Layla Gray, obviously, as well. But I'm really yearning for the day when we can get an elongated Jade match. This kind of fits the script for what we've seen from her TBS title defenses on pay-per-view. It's under 5 minutes. It's, this time Athena got in a lot of offense, which is cool. She hit the O-face immediately, which I think was a great way to start. Love Jade She-Hulk gear. Love Athena's gear.
Yeah.
I just, I wish this could be closer to 10 minutes than
Yeah.
under 5. But yeah, regardless, Brad.
Yeah.
Too fast, yeah. But you're right. It's a slugfest, very predictable ending with Jade winning. And I think it's the right ending in this case.
Yeah, I agree. And Jade's still new. Maybe this is kind of strange, but her strikes, they look like she's holding back 105%. Like she does not look like she's laying it in. They don't look that believable. They look kind of slow. And I think she's doing it to protect people, or maybe she's just bad at her strikes. But I wish they would find some other way for her to take like punches rather than forearms, because she's trying to lay in her forearms and it never looks right. Because she's strong as shit. So whenever she kicks somebody, it's like, oh, that Jade kick is believable.
Yeah. Did she kick Athena out of the air?
Yes.
Before, yeah. She hit the pump kick as Athena was.
And her throws and her I guess physical grappling offense looks great. It is great, but I want to see her strikes.
Yeah,
I want to see her do something different. Oh, that was great when she just kind of snagged her and then dropped her.
This was
awesome.
This was also one of the most snug Jadeds I've ever seen as well. She was not playing around.
No,
she got Athena right in the position and then straight up, straight down. There was no zoom into Athena saying, no, please don't drop me on my face. It was
the way it should be.
It reminded me a lot of Bianca's KOD
when she jumped at 4 feet into the air.
Yes, yeah. It reminded me very much of a championship signature finish. 1, 2, 3, no doubt.
I just I love Jade so much. I want to see her punch people in the face rather than those forearms, because they don't make her look as strong as everything else does. It's like the one weak spot in her offense right now with her like standard offense that I don't love. Because she's laying them in and they don't look like she's not trying, but like, there was one punch, she went for a clothesline that she didn't really follow through or make it look like she was really trying to hit. And I was like, that's what I want to see her do. Like, you just trust that the other person's going to get out of the way. I know that you will literally decapitate them if you connect, because she's just power personified. But I want to see her just taking big swings at people and connecting and just beating the shit out of each other, out of whoever her opponent is, because I want to see her have this title forever. Like, just let her get to 100-0. Jade rules. She's probably my favorite female wrestler in the world right now. And just because she's so different than everybody.
Sure.
So let her punch people in the face. Powerhouse Hobbs kind of squashed Ricky. What'd you think?
Yeah, he did. Well, I think we may have skipped one before this. Wardlow and FTR.
So let's talk about Wardlow and FTR. We absolutely skipped it. I didn't know we were going to go through all the matches.
Oh no, man, you're good. I know
we will be up till 4 a.m. Yes. Here's what I'll say about that match. Finley rules. The end. Biggest pop of the night was the pencil break for me.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's definitely up there for me for the night. For this match, it was definitely the high point for me. It was fantastic. Great sell by Sanjay Dutt. It reminded me of your selling for Freya, by the way.
Yes.
I got memories of back in Miranda. Yeah, this match is exactly what we thought it would. It got more time than I thought it would.
A lot more time than I thought.
Yeah, clocked in. That looks like 16 minutes and change. But we unfortunately didn't get the Wardlow power bombing Singh spot, but he certainly power bombed Jay Lethal. Motor City Machine Guns look great. We got FTR on the pay-per-view. Checked a lot of boxes. Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks, Brad, did not check.
We also got the return of Samoa Joe.
Yes, thank you. We got Samoa Joe back. We did.
So now we have Samoa Joe and MGF back on the roster at the same time, which is something. But yes, Powerhouse Hobbs squishing Ricky Starks. I feel like Ricky needed that win a lot more than Powerhouse Hobbs. A lot more.
Really? We disagree on that one.
So much more, because Hobbs has been killing people for how long? Ricky has taken like 3 losses or 4 losses in a row. Outside of that, he had that one win and then got his ass kicked afterward. He beat Aaron Solo. He lost to Hook. He tried to fight Hobbs, got his ass kicked. Tried to fight Hobbs, got his ass kicked. Beat Aaron Solo. The factory kicked his ass. And then he loses to Hobbs really quickly. This is what we've done too.
I think you're forgetting the earth-shattering win against QT Marshall. Didn't he just beat him on... Are you discounting the win against QT on the main event of Rampage?
I totally forgot it happened. What happened after that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Got his ass kicked by Hobbs.
Point.
So
I think Hobbs though. So okay, let's reverse it though. I wish these guys would have gotten more time, frankly. This is probably my biggest man. This is probably my biggest disappointment of the weekend. I really thought I was going to leave this weekend being enamored with at least 2 matches. There's certainly more we could talk about, but I was super stoked for Ricochet versus Carmelo Hayes. That delivered. That was just awesome on so many levels, and I really thought that Hobbs versus Ricky was going to be one of the signature matches from the weekend. And Brad, I don't think this was even in, even on this card, this wasn't even a top 5 match. It was quick. No. It was a squash. Hobbs won. Obviously my question for you though, because he won clean. Let's say Ricky ends up winning this match. What if Hobbs then turns into, in my mind, sort of like a Brian Cage or Lance Archer, where he beats everyone up, but when it comes to the big signature matches, he always loses. We know Hobbs lost to CM Punk at last year's Grand Slam.
That's true.
I'm trying to think of other signature one-on-one matches he's been in. Not many that I can think of. But my point is, I just don't want him to fall into the Brian Cage, Lance Archer trope of he's an absolute dominant heel, but then he never wins the big one. I thought this was a big look for him to win, and then maybe this can catapult him into my fantasy booking of facing Wardlow for the TNT title.
I absolutely disagree, because Ricky Starks isn't that big. Wow. He's not. It's not a big win over a big star. It's a big win over someone on equal footing that had a belt that he helped get him. Like Hobbs is part of the reason that Ricky won that belt to begin with. Sure. Because good Hobbs point. Got involved in that match. So Ricky didn't win that clean. There was some tomfoolery in that match, and he helped him keep it for all that time.
Right.
And Ricky is on paper a big star, but he had a belt that's not sanctioned and literally nothing else, with no signature wins at all. So what's his biggest victory?
Yeah.
Really. Is it?
He's like,
was it 50... Tony Nese? I think he wrestled.
Yeah,
it's probably his big. That's probably his biggest win.
He's like 52-8. I want to say. Hopefully, I'm not overestimating that win count.
No,
but I think the majority of his wins have been relatively insignificant. To your point.
Yeah,
I think unlike Hobbs, he could easily be put into one of these casino battle royales or ladder matches, regardless of his record or lack of big wins. He could easily be put in there. And then, be catapulted into a main event title program, because he's just that good.
But I think he needs to go away for a while for that to work. Mm-hmm. You can't get beat up by the factory and lose to Hobbs. Like Hobbs, who hasn't been made yet. Like he's on the way to being made, but you lost to a guy who is not made yet. and you are not made yet because you haven't done anything. You took a title off a guy that was getting basically written off the show, to be turned to your point, to wear a crappy machine mask and lose to Hangman Adam Page in a banger. But like, that's the only notable thing he did outside of being FTW champion at the time in Brian Cage. Starks is great on the mic. Starks is great in the ring. I feel like he's lost all of his big matches too, but there might be one in there that I'm forgetting, but Hobbs, it's kind of the same deal.
Yeah. Both could
I
have
totally
used the win.
Both could have used a win. I just feel like Starks losing would have been a lot more. It would have been a lot easier to stomach if it was a 20-minute match.
Right. I that's where we absolutely agree. This was so perplexing. It
squashed him. It made him look so weak.
Yeah. It was one spine buster, kind of out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. It really felt like a Rampage-esque match.
Yes.
I would be curious to know what went on here. If maybe the what went on with the budgeting of time, or hopefully no one was injured between these two guys. It just really seemed like everyone and their mother was stoked for this match.
Yes,
and the chatter was like, oh no, this is high on a lot of our lists, especially for a non-title match. I think this was number one for many of us on this card, a non-title match in terms of how excited we were. This was the one, and it just left me not feeling fulfilled at all. Even though my prediction was correct of Hobbs winning, I just clearly, to me, they're running this back, Brad.
Yeah, it'll have to happen
with more time, 3 times the amount of time. Hopefully,
yeah. So like, I don't care if
minutes.
Ricky losing isn't a big deal. It's Ricky losing and looking like a total loser.
I agree.
After getting beat up by QT Marshall and Aaron Solo, like,
I agree.
And like whatever Nick Camarado is doing now, like that.
Like the Tony D
so bad
impression. Yeah,
it's really, really bad. I'd rather have the unfrozen caveman back.
Me too.
I liked that. I don't know. I dug that gimmick. He was totally wild, and really enjoyed it. Now he looks like he's gonna sell me like knockoff Rolexes.
Well, Brad, speaking of that,
knockoff Rolexes,
that's hilarious. No, I was actually gonna say, speaking of things you love, this next match. My match of the night. I haven't asked if it's yours yet, but it's mine. Beautiful. Swerve in Our Glory, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland successfully defended their AEW Tag Team Championship against the Acclaimed, Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. Of course, they were accompanied by Mr. Ass, Billy Gunn. Brad, this match completely exceeded our expectations.
Yes, it did.
We were excited, but I did not think it was going to deliver to the extent that it did. Match of the night for us, probably match of the night for many of our listeners and viewers. Maybe need to put out a Twitter poll for that. This was given time. This clocked in a little over 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 22:30.
Yeah, and the crowd was hot for the Acclaimed.
Yes.
But the Acclaimed did not go over. What did you think of this match? And was this a missed opportunity in terms of the finish, the Acclaim losing?
So I think the biggest thing here is that it kind of solidified the idea that the Acclaimed they're a legitimate threat to the tag titles at any time. Where before they were sort of the joke, right? Like they were
100%.
They're going to come out, they're going to do their rap, they're going to bury somebody, and then they're going to lose because they're the heels and they're a homegrown talent, so they can't beat FTR or they can't beat these other teams. They can't beat the Young Bucks, right? So, and now it's like, oh, they can beat anybody. They can beat the Lucha Brothers.
It was a statement.
Yeah, it was absolutely a statement. And I think the chanting is absolutely going to continue on. Chicago left us a gift.
Shout out to Chicago.
Yeah.
Yes.
The oh, scissor me daddy chant got me. The you got scissored or we want scissors were also great. There were some other ones in there that I don't think we can say. But yeah, the only thing I'll say is that JR saying listen is one of the single most rage making things in my life. When I hear it, I feel like I'm gonna vomit blood. It's just the worst. I'm so angry every time he says it. And I know you pop for Shiznit. It's time for some cowboy shiznit.
I do.
I hate it so much.
I gotta love that you hate that one.
Much.
I agree on listen. The shiznit I do pop for.
He does the same voice, and that's the part that I hate.
Yeah,
because he goes and he just it sounds like he's like, I don't know, somebody bumped the record. I hate it so much.
It kind of sounds like the teacher from South Park. I forget his name. In front
Mr.
of the chalkboard.
Mr. Garrison.
Yes, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
so
Brad,
I hated it, but I love the match, man. I thought it was great.
Yes.
They sold me a ticket at least 4 times and thought the Acclaimed were going to win, including the time they did win, but they had to walk it back, even though that hand was absolutely going to hit the mat. But luckily for Swerve in their glory, Keith Lee hit Matt Caster's toe and stopped the count. I hate that stuff so much.
I noticed
man.
that as well. That was a constant on this card for me, as it seemed like
so many times.
The breakup of the pinfall was late. That happened more times than in this match, but in this match particularly noticeable. I knew you were going to have something to say about Keith Lee hitting the toe. That wasn't awesome.
No, and the refs in general, I know I sent this to you. I know I put a tweet out. The refs in general in AEW seem like they don't really know what the hell they're doing in there in terms of where they should place themselves in a match, because they're always like, oh, in a corner going like this, or trying to get out of the way, or getting bumped, getting hit. It's like, just move out of the goddamn way. It's like, what are you doing? Just move. You can't take a ref bump every match you're in because you're stupid. Like, it's infuriating. So watching the WWE is like a whole different experience, because those refs have it on lockdown, like what they're supposed to do.
Sure.
I don't even notice they're there half the time until they're counting. In the first couple of matches on this card, I was like, get out of the way, move. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Bryce. It was the other bald dude.
Oh man, not Bryce
exactly.
Remsburg.
Nope. Bryce Remsburg.
I want to say Rich, but that does not sound accurate.
Well, whatever. The other bald referee.
I'm gonna look this up.
Who is probably a really great dude. Get the hell out of the way. Like, stop getting in the way. Get the hell out of the way. Freaking angry. Let's move on. Tony Storm defeated Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Jamie Hayter, who had to eat the pin, which I'm mad about, and Hikaru Shida. I did not want to see Jamie eat the pin. I wanted to see Jamie get the pin. I hated that Jamie Hayter had to eat the pin, but I did like why. I do like that it's entirely Britt's fault that Jamie had to eat the pin. So that sets that up, because Jamie had it won. Jamie was pinning Tony, and Britt pulled Jamie off so that she could get the title. So I can't wait to see this, because I think Hayter's going to end up killing Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, in a face turn. I don't think Britt's turning ever. I don't think she should. I think she should stay like this. She can be like that organic baby face that is just a heel all the time that people just love. But I'm pumped that Tony won the championship. It's a 14-minute match in a terrible time slot, simply because the crowd was deflated by all the energy they put into that tag match, and then went and got drinks and took a leak. And the crowd got quiet and people left their seats.
Yeah. No, it definitely impacted this match. And shout out to Swerve in Our Glory, because I know the Flowers deservingly go to the Acclaim for their star-making performance. But it takes 4 to tango in that case, so to speak. So shout out to them. The referee's Rick Knox, by the way.
There you go, Rick Knox.
I was close.
Well, Knox, he's getting knocked around, so it makes sense.
He is indeed. Yeah, this match,
Tony,
predictable winner, super happy for her. I think that the potential of a Jamie Hayter versus Britt Baker feud does not need a title, and I hope that's where we're going, because I think there's a lot of meat on the bone there.
Yeah.
Super stoked to see what Tony does with the belt. I think she has been one of the best signings since AEW started, Brad. She's delivered
far and away,
left and right. Yeah. Super excited to see what she does. I think we could easily get a Thunderstorm unification match at some point later this year. Hopefully Thunder Rosa recovers quickly. Yeah, man. I was pulling for Jamie Hayter. I was sold a couple tickets in this match. It was great to see Shida back in a prominent spot. But like you, the slotting of this match being right after that tag team banger was definitely a rough placement.
That forearm to the back of Britt's head from Sheeta on the outside. Good God, the sound that made! I went, oh, like I just audibly gasped on my couch.
Yeah,
and Britt was, I don't know if she was selling. I think she just got hit in the back of the head. It was like, damn, that hurt.
Yeah, she's such a skilled seller. You never know.
Yeah. The next match though could have been the piss break. I don't know if it would have been long enough to go take a piss. We had a 20-second match between Christian Cage and Jungle Boy. I hated that they put this on the pay-per-view. If they knew that Christian wasn't going to be able to wrestle, he is legitimately injured, and hopefully he recovers. I hate that they didn't do this. They could have done this during the interview on Friday on Rampage when Jack was sitting down with Christian. They could have had Jack and Luchasaurus standing there, and you could have been saying, like, you got to keep him away from me. And then Luchasaurus just turn on Jack and kill him. And then make it Luchasaurus versus Jungle Boy on the pay-per-view, or just take the match off altogether.
Yeah, that would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah, it didn't need to be there. I was just like, that match was taped Rampage level bad. I didn't need it on the pay-per-view. I wanted to see this match. I wanted to see Jungle Boy fight Christian Cage. Simply take it off the match. You don't need to do it right now. It's fine. But
yeah.
It betrayed all of my confidence in this, and it really deflated me. Then I can't believe I'm saying that about Jungle Boy, Christian Cage. When you say those names together, you're like, oh, who cares? But they've been telling this story for it feels like 6 months. Like if it's been legitimately months of storytelling.
I would argue it even goes back a full calendar year, Brad, because Jungle Boy
partnered together,
Jungle Jack Perry, and he
in the Eliminators,
he eliminated Christian at Double or Nothing last year in that casino battle royale eliminator, whatever it was called,
whatever they call that thing.
And then Christian gave him his respect, and then the whole crowd was singing for Jungle Boy, and that's what started this whole story. So this was arguably the longest built storyline heading into this card, and for it to result in a 20-second or so squash where Luchasaurus very predictably, we were right about this one, very predictably turns on Jungle Boy again, puts him through a great choke slam on the front of the stage, puts him through a table, throws him in. Christian seals the deal. Jungle Boy kicks out, but then Christian seals the deal, and then that's it. It does kind of go back to that question of, promotional practices, business practices of, if this is on your card and this is a marquee match, but then you deliver this, is there something wrong with that? Or is it sometimes the carny business that we know we love? Like you, I would have much preferred a Jungle Boy Jungle Jack Perry heel Luchasaurus match. If we knew this whole time that Christian wasn't good to go. This, for them to put this 20-second match on the card was very perplexing. I don't remember a match on an AEW pay-per-view that was similar to this, where they just sort of, promoted something and then didn't deliver. This gave me shades of like Sasha versus Bianca 2 at SummerSlam that we were supposed to get. Rumor was Sasha was not going to be able to do it. Then they gave us Becky squashing Bianca, which I think we're still scarred about, even though we've tried to move on. This was not great. Definitely, I could completely understand why it deflated you. It was great to see Luchasaurus, but this taking up time on a pay-per-view just seemed like an odd call.
You could have put something else there and just moved it back. There's 100 things you could have done. I don't know why they committed to it. Maybe they wanted to move up the Luchasaurus Jungle Boy feud, but that one's going to end like Hobbs and Starks. Jungle Boy's not winning that match.
Right.
And I think it's going to be a squash. And then I think they're going to have to go, what the hell did we do with Jack Perry? I just feel like that's the same kind of thing is going to happen there, where it's like, we have all these really good ideas. We build people strong, Ricky Starks, for example, and then we just like kill him right away. And well, what do you do with that? We love a comeback story. We love an underdog, but at a point they have to be a believable underdog and not this. So, well, I don't know. We'll see. The next one, we get the Lionheart versus the American Dragon, Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson. It's a good match. I have nothing to add.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it didn't really do it for me. Good, obviously, two of the better workers of our time, Brad. I mean, Bryan Danielson's considered to be the GOAT, and Chris Jericho is one of your favorites. I have so much respect for his wrestling career and how he's reinvented himself. I wasn't as geeked for this match as others heading into the pay-per-view. Yeah, it just didn't really
on paper.
Yeah, American Dragon versus Lionheart, totally get it, totally here for it, but it didn't wet my beak for whatever reason. So this match was given 20 plus minutes. One would argue maybe that was too much, one being me, but these are two of the best to do it, certainly in our lifetime. And surprisingly to me, Chris Jericho picked up the W. I think it makes so much sense with Daniel Garcia and questioning where his loyalties lie. Makes so much sense. But I thought Danielson was going to win, so I did pop for Jericho getting the victory. And of course, it came after he hit a low blow. I can't believe I didn't see this coming when we made our predictions on that article.
2-2. He was 1-2 heading into this one at All Outs, and that's why I figured he was going to win. He didn't win the last one, so
yeah. And I think the Lionheart persona needed a victory. We saw Lionheart against Mox.
Yeah,
great match, maybe the best in Jericho's AEW career. Yeah. But the dude ended up losing. I think this gets some of the mystique back to Lionheart in my mind.
I also think Chris Jericho, John Moxley have better chemistry because they work more of a similar style or styles that complement each other, where Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho don't. They talk about the school, the Heart Dungeon and their technical wrestling and all that stuff. But Chris Jericho for 15 years, 20 years, whatever it was, didn't do that stuff. He did Fozzy and WWE stuff. So it's just different. It's not to say that it's bad different. It's just like the amount of technical wrestling that Bryan Danielson has forgotten exceeds almost anybody else on that roster.
So true.
Except probably somebody in the back in Dean Malenko. If Malenko was a healthy man and wanted to do a match with Bryan Danielson, holy shit, sign me the hell up right now for that match. That would be an absolute dream match.
I think that would exceed the 20-minute time.
Give them the whole show. Have them do their own pay-per-view. I don't care. Yeah. Okay, so we have the Darby, Sting, and Miro beating the House of Black. Malachi taking a bow and blowing a kiss to the crowd before leaving and hugging the House of Black members, presumably to take a leave of absence to address some health concerns he has. I don't know if they're all mental health or what, but we hope the best for Malachi Black. We love that dude. We want to see him do great things, but we want to hear that he's better and in a better place. I really loved the entrances here. I liked a lot of the spots in this match, but I did not love this match. It was fine. I really was super stoked for this, and it just kind of a letdown for me. And I don't know if it's because of where it was placed on the card. After all the stuff that we had seen already, that this didn't really do anything crazy. I mean, we had a trios tournament for belts, and then we get a trios match for... It's kind of a grudge match, but it's a trios grudge match, but like half your team hates the other person's guts. So it's a match. And that's all it had. Lots of people wearing makeup, and that's kind of it.
It was odd. If you told me Malachi was going to lose on this show, and specifically Malachi was going to be the one to get pinned, I would have much preferred a singles match between Miro and Malachi Black. I think that would have gotten the crowd much hotter, which is weird to say because the other four participants are the Icon, Sting, Darby Allin, one of the most over dudes in the company, and then Buddy Matthews and Brody King, two of our favorites and two fantastic workers. This match was, I think some of it was placement, Brad, for sure. And I don't know, maybe all of it was placement. I don't know. It's odd that it didn't get a bigger reaction. And I think I'm still in my feelings about House of Black losing. If Malachi is going away, that I guess that makes a lot of sense. And that's pretty admirable if maybe he were to, really seek, hey, let's get someone over. But Darby getting the pin, House of Black, Sting missed was cool, but Darby getting the pin, House of Black losing again. It wasn't for me. I love all 6 of these dudes, but I'm really shocked that Miro didn't get the pin, and I'm just saddened that it would appear that House of Black is not going to be the first contenders against the Elite, because if I were booking this, I would have had House of Black in the finals of the trios tournament. I love this group that much.
Well, Malachi going out and letting that team get the win is just his way of putting, I think, the younger talent like Sting over. Jon Moxley versus CM Punk was our main event. This is a great match. Brutal, absolutely brutal match, but this match was fun as hell. They told an excellent story. God, there were so many little things in this match that I absolutely loved. CM Punk is a master storyteller, and Jon Moxley is so underrated as a storyteller in the ring. But man, is that dude goes to a whole nother level when he has somebody to feed off of. It's like all really good acting. If you're acting across from somebody and they're giving it to you, you can feed off of that energy. But you also have to be aware of like, how is the crowd reacting and what's going on around you, and a sense of timing and place to know like when to do really heel stuff. I know Renee was at home yelling at the television when John started licking Punk's blood off his hand. Because it's one of the things she said in an interview at one point. It was like, I don't so much mind the other stuff. It's when he licks blood. It's like, stop putting other people's blood in your mouth on purpose. You're going to get sick.
It's not sanitary.
It's so disgusting. Yeah. So one of those deals, but man, this match it was great. I loved the mock sell off technically, I guess it was the second go to sleep, the one late in the match before the one after the final one to put him in the pin, where he bounces off the ropes and collapses onto CM Punk's shoulders, where he just has to stand up and deliver another one, was my favorite spot of the night for me.
Wow. Okay.
Just because of how it said a whole bunch of stuff, right? Like it made CM Punk respect him. Like, I know I got to do this again, even though he's out.
Sure.
It was incredible selling. Mox had the advantage the whole match. Like, all of it was so good. There were like other really cool things that happened in the night, but yeah, I think this is probably my favorite. That was probably my favorite spot because I can't really think of anything else other than maybe, I take that back. Max getting Keith Lee up and driving him to the
match. We didn't even mention that.
Yeah, that had to have been my favorite spot. That was incredible. I popped so huge. The crowd was going nuts. I was going nuts.
I thought if one Acclaimed member would do that, it was going to be Bowens. But great sell of the
Tree Trunks.
Knee. Yeah, great sell of the knee from Bowens. Yeah. Great spot for Max Caster. He's more than just a rapper. That was awesome.
Yeah, those two had a great match. Bowen's facials during the match are incredible. Mm-hmm. Max, I want to see a little bit more. He's a little vanilla pudding out there, but when he's wrestling, his facials are great. When he's on like the apron, like, I don't know, show some urgency on your face.
Sure.
Do something. Because Swerve is always like, just doing this stuff, like scowling and then going, like gritting and then yelling and just changing the way he looks. Because somebody might be watching you at any time. They might not be paying attention to the ring. That's like that whole acting component of it. Like just remembering that you still have to do your job, even if you're really paying attention to how awesome this match is because you're in it. Don't forget you're there. But Punk and Moxley, experts at doing those things. Experts. Great match.
Great match. This is one of my favorite AEW pay-per-view main events. Great Punk gear, switching up with the white. Great babyface gear. Mox being in
wearing Danhausen's boots, apparently.
Yes, there you go. Mox being in enemy confines in Chicago, and the juxtaposition of him being so cheered in Ohio just a couple weeks ago to now flipping and him being the heel and the crowd being vehemently behind Punk. There were some "Let's Go Moxley" chants, but then they were drowned out by CM Punk chants. Yeah, Brad, this match was awesome. It was just an absolute blast. Punk won, which I think was pretty predictable, but in my mind, certainly the right move. And then after the match, we got the real payoff of the show. Brad, what did you make of the lights going dark? We hear the recording of Tony Khan leaving a voicemail to MJF saying, if you show up at All Out, all is forgiven. Let's get this right. And then the reveal of MJF was the devil from earlier in the show. Great reveal of the scarf as well.
That was great, yeah.
And then I went back on Twitter to watch this before we recorded. The screen is still black at this point after the scarf reveal, so we know who it is, but screen is dark now. And then that first note of MJF's theme, and the eruption.
Yeah,
and I didn't know if we were going to get that music back. I thought maybe MJF is now going to use the Rolling Stones, "Sympathy for the Devil," but we got the MJF theme back. Huge pop from the Chicago crowd, and MJF declares he is coming for CM Punk's title. What did you think of the post-match?
Number one, I think it's a mistake to make him a heel. Even though he's the best heel in the modern era, in my opinion. I don't think he should have been a heel. He's a babyface. He was too over. And I know he just had to flip off the crowd to get there. And I'm sure on Wednesday we're getting a promo of a lifetime. Because every MJF promo is a promo of the lifetime. I always grimace when he comes out because I'm always worried about what he's going to say. I'm always a little scared he's going to just absolutely torpedo somebody. So to have him come out and explain himself, I'm sure he's going to say like, oh yeah, all of you were calling me unprofessional and saying that I should have left and I don't deserve to have a job. That's where this is going to go, and that's fine. But like, the pop from the crowd was undeniable, and the MJF chants that drowned out everything. It was all that was happening in the arena were MJF chants. Tyler, it was in Chicago, and CM Punk just won the championship.
Just won it moments ago.
Just won it, yeah. And the lights went out.
Brilliant.
And the crowd in Chicago was chanting for the guy who wants to take the belt from him.
Yes. Who had a blood rivalry against your hometown guy just mere months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it just speaks to the brilliance of MJF.
Yes. And also why CM Punk turning heel here after burying a bunch of people, and MJF coming out being the babyface, just spitting facts made a ton of sense to me. But if you're going to have him be in a heel faction, he has to be heel. Or you're going to have to turn the whole faction, or they're going to have to turn on him. And then what the hell was the point?
Right.
So I don't love it, but is CM Punk a babyface right now? To you? Try to ignore the press conference.
Yeah, no, he's not.
He's I don't know if I can say he's a heel. He's that Shades of Grey character.
Exactly. Very much Shades of Grey.
But like, you throw in the press conference and it's like, my God, this guy whines a lot. And all of it seems legitimate and justified. And also it feels like heel behavior. So it's very much not like the babyface who's going to be like, oh yeah, despite all that, I'll overcome it anyway. It's very much, no, F that. These guys are a problem. And it just feels very, I don't know, very heelish. I thought the setup for this match, even though it was like a good speech, if you're not from Chicago, do you care about like, I'm Chicago, you can break my bones and not my, I'm like, well, I hate the Bears. I hate the Blackhawks. The White Sox can go to hell too. So
Cubs? For Alf Ferguson's sake?
I don't care about the Cubs.
The voice of GI?
I don't care about the Cubs.
Okay.
I grew up a Tiger fan, so I don't care about the Cubs. Packer fan, Tiger fan. I mean, Red Wings fan. Why would
Pistons.
I like Pistons? But I didn't hate the Bulls growing up because of Michael. So even though they ended our run,
I'm surprised.
Didn't have hatred for him. It's
Wow.
too hard. It's like, do you hate LeBron if they knock your team out of the playoffs, or you just go like, well, it was LeBron? That's kind of
I don't hate Giannis. It's hard to.
Yeah, that's kind of. Yeah, it's kind of what I'm saying. It's like the star power there was too big.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I love Chicago. I do love the city of Chicago. It's great. Every time I get to go there, I'm excited. It's such a great town. It's beautiful. Lots to offer, but I don't care about that promo. That didn't do anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if CM Punk were listening to this right now, he'd probably go like, well, was it for you? That wasn't for you. And it's like, all right, I get it. You're heel. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, we need the heel turn.
So I absolutely want to see heel CM Punk there. Him shooting, but controlling himself. I want to see that. So yeah, I don't know, man. I love that we're getting another CM Punk MJF rivalry, another feud. I think that's money automatic. Just even if they don't wrestle, if they just have a mic duo, you know it's going to deliver. You know it's going to be good. Who knows what kind of wrinkle gets in the way? Maybe Samoa Joe's like, all right, I'm sick of you two. I'm getting involved. I want that title. Maybe he shows up and does something like that, even though I'm sure he's going to ROH, but I don't want him to. I want him to stay in Dynamite and Rampage. Who knows what'll happen, man? Like, I don't really know what'll happen, but I want to see. I just feel like MJF is a natural babyface right now. And they're Seth Rollinsing him, where he came back as a babyface from his injury and then immediately turned him heel.
It's a great callback.
Yeah. So I don't know. How do you feel?
It's a phenomenal analogy. To even think that we would be arguing for on behalf of an MJF babyface run just makes me ask myself what alternate universe are we living in?
Weird. It is weird because I mean
it's weird.
He's a perfect heel. A perfect heel.
He's not looking for cheers. He's not pandering to the crowd ever. He doesn't have any cool. This is no shade to Adam Cole, but he doesn't have any cool chants or you just want to boo MJF.
But you do get to finish his sentence.
But you do get to remind yourself that he's better than you, and you know it. Yeah. No, man. I'm so glad he's back. I'm really curious now if this is setting up our main event for Dynamite Grand Slam. It's going to be not in Long Island, but it's going to be in Queens. MJF is now clearly, if not the number one contender, we know he has a guaranteed shot. I'm really eager to see what happens. I think they have to pull the trigger on him, though. So I think we're going to come into a conflict of, do we get an elongated Punk run? Even though I predicted, Brad, that he would have the shortest reign as an AEW World Champion. Do we now get although not a summer of Punk, do we now get the fall of Punk? Because we know undoubtedly he's one of, if not the biggest draw in the company. Or is this the time where we strap the Rocket to Maxwell Jacob Friedman? I don't think you can go wrong either way, but to me, I don't know if it's too soon, but I would predict that MJF leaves Dynamite Grand Slam as the World Heavyweight Champion.
I say give him the strap next week.
Oh, okay. We're expediting the process, are we?
I say on Wednesday, have him come out, say what he's got to say. It's like, you already know how I feel. I'm cashing in. Get out here and fight me
tonight.
And because it'll be in Buffalo, and he could say he won it in his home state.
It is in New York.
Yeah, so at least he can win in New York. So that could work. It won't happen, but I think I'm with you with
Grand Slam.
Makes the most sense.
Has to be, right?
Yeah,
yeah. It's
money, I don't think they'll wait till November.
Money feud. Come on board.
Well, that brings us at 117 to Clash at the Castle.
Clash at the Castle.
Tyler, overall, how did you feel about this event?
I felt so good about it. This absolutely ruled. I thought every match delivered on the card in different ways. The crowd was so hot throughout the show, which greatly impacted my viewing for the better. The stage, the setup of this event was unlike what we're used to seeing. It was just an absolute blast of a show, Brad. It was so fun, man. I thought every match honestly delivered. Yeah. I believe in December, when we are discussing our matches of the year, Sheamus versus Gunther is going to be in that conversation. Yeah, we got the return of Fabian Eichner, now known as Giovanni Vinci. So the return of Imperium absolutely popped me.
Me too.
I forget how much I love Ludwig.
Yes.
And his introduction that we got to see live.
It's so good.
It's so good. And then when we panned out and saw that they got Fabian Eichner back to reform Imperium, I love that. Gunther and Sheamus facing off, just staring at each other while they're comrades fought. Beautiful. Seth Rollins.
Pete Dunne gear.
Pete Dunne gear. Seems like we're getting closer. We're getting closer to the bruiserweight. Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle.
His cousin
he
sells cars.
Yeah. Exactly, used cars. Was so good. These guys are just such technicians in the ring, and I really enjoyed that Seth won. I incorrectly predicted that. I think we're definitely running this back at Extreme Rules in Philly next month. But that match was so good, and so happy to see Seth get a big win. Before that, though, I know I'm going out of order on the card. I thought Liv had her best in-ring performance since becoming SmackDown Women's Champ. Yeah. She went over on Shayna. You know, I'm not mad at that. That was a win for me and for Liv. Obviously, it was great to see Damage Control pick up the W. I think we're setting up Bayley versus Bianca, which I'm here for. Love the crowd singing or serenading Bayley. Shout out back to 2016, 2017 when that first happened. And then finally, let me know if I'm missing anything, but finally the main event, which I know you have thoughts on. I was worked hook, line, and sinker. I thought this was Drew's moment. We put out a poll on the GI account at GIPod19. I think, it was a consensus. Everyone who voted on that poll thought Drew was winning, myself included. So he didn't, obviously. Solo Sikoa has debuted on the main roster. We thought Roman was by himself. Absolute phenomenal performance by Roman, really playing up the fact that he was all alone, no bloodline, no Paul Heyman. He was in a foreign country. He was had very few, if any, cheers, and he was really playing that up. So the fact that Solo ended up pulling the ref out, hit Drew. Roman, I believe, hits a spear, and then 1, 2, 3. He is still our undisputed champion. I was worked, man. I thought it was Drew's moment to win. I still think Drew should have won that match, quite frankly.
Agreed.
But I'm a big Roman guy, so I don't completely hate it, but I think that was the wrong booking call. The post-match, Drew and Tyson Fury was super strange. I'm all here for us seeing candid moments after a show goes off air. It felt very much like a house show moment that we usually don't see, or even like the end of Raw, or the end of SmackDown that we wouldn't see once it goes off air. I just thought that was strange. I didn't know. It was awkward. I don't know if we're going to set up Drew versus Fury or if Bray Wyatt debuts. I thought something big was going to happen, but it didn't. Drew looked phenomenal. I was so happy for him to have that moment. I will admit, though, I do wish he would have walked out with both titles. What did you think of the show?
You want me to run down and we'll just end it? I feel like that's what we just did there.
I know you agree about it. Just seemed like it was Drew.
I agree.
Drew's
I agree
moment,
about
right?
most of what you said. I really didn't care about the Madcap Street Profits. That was the pre-show match, right?
Right. Yeah.
Great to see those guys. Glad they got to wrestle in the UK. Whatever. Damage Control getting the win. They needed the win. Bayley didn't need the win, but they needed the win. So that was really great. I love that match. Specifically the crowd for the hey, Bayley. I want to know, will you be my girl? I thought that was really cool.
So cool.
And they chanted other stuff as well. And it was all really good. Gunther versus Sheamus is absolutely my WWE match of the year so far. Will be up there probably overall. It didn't have like a long build or anything. It just, the build was kind of perfect for, you're the champ and you call yourself the ring general. I've been here forever. It's the only one I haven't won. And I've beaten everybody but you. So let's do this. All right. Sold me a ticket. The first stare down was amazing. And I love that they stared at each other and wouldn't touch each other until the bell rang. And the second the bell went ding, 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 they teed off on each other.
It was perfect.
It was incredible.
I would not change a thing about that match.
No, me either.
And the right person won. I think that was a case where Sheamus got the, not hometown, but he got the huge babyface reaction. And yet, I think it was very appropriate for him to lose. And he got his flowers after the match. He got all the applause. But I thought this was just booked so wonderfully from start to finish.
Expertly booked. They were allowed to wrestle. they were allowed to slap the piss out of each other. Like
yeah.
Sheamus's chest did look like hamburger at the end of it. It was crazy. I loved it, man. Like it told a story. Sheamus is not a little fellow. Sheamus is a big boy.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw him live recently.
Absolute behemoth. So when we're looking at all these people walking around, you're like, it's kind of like the first time you go to an NFL game or you're around NFL players, or even like Steph Curry, who how tall is Steph? I can't remember.
6'3". I
was gonna say 6'3", 6'4".
He's not a small guy. He's marketed as that, as the everyday guy, but he in fact is not.
He's probably the tallest guy in most rooms he goes into.
Of course.
And when you see him on the court, you're like, oh, look at that little guy out there. Exactly. He's like me. And he's like, he is not like you.
Yeah. We think he's like 5'10".
That is not Spud Webb. That is not Muggsy Bogues. That's like Patrick Ewing out there right now. Like,
for real.
Absolutely crazy. I thought it made me realize how big Gunther was, because I know he was there, but his frame isn't the same as Sheamus. Sheamus is just like huge, absolutely huge. And Gunther is not absolutely huge comparatively, but he's huge. Dude is massive. He's just built differently. He looks like somebody that, I mean, he's Austrian, so it makes total sense, but he looks totally like somebody that Indiana Jones would have to fight outside of a Nazi plane, like in front of it. Like, just, I'm going to fist fight the big guy. Like, he totally does.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
I mean, especially when he wears the trench coat.
Right.
Right. But yeah, this was by far my favorite WWE match of the year. You know what the best part about it was? The IC title felt big.
Oh, well, yeah, you're right.
We haven't had that in so long.
Yeah.
I'd say the last defense felt big. It felt important off of a very, very quick build. This being on this card with these stakes, with these two, and really leaning into the history and the I'm stronger, I'm better, and going, this is important to me, and just making it important. I'm getting chills thinking about it right now. Dude, the Intercontinental title is one of my favorite titles of all time. I know it is for you too, and I know it is for a lot of people,
right?
Especially people that came up in like the 80s, 90s,
right,
and got to watch this stuff. It's like that's an important belt, and for it to just not matter for the last decade or so, not really. It's just sort of there to have a mid-card belt, but it didn't mean anything. It was like, all right, who cares? This belt's coming up. You win, you lose, whatever. Now it's like, holy shit, Gunther has the IC belt. This match is going to rule. This is going to be a war. I don't know who's going to win. It's fun. I can't believe the IC belt is fun again. Liv Morgan beating Shayna, although I wanted to see Shayna win here because I thought Liv's run has been kind of terrible. This helps solidify her run a lot more. She's now beaten Ronda Rousey. She's beaten Shayna, even though she didn't really beat Ronda. She's beaten Ronda Rousey and she just beat Shayna. Kind of legitimizes her championship because she beat Shayna clean, and she did not beat Ronda clean. She tapped out, which is like, your champion just tapped out and took the win. That's a heel move. Yeah, what am I supposed to do with this? So, then Ronda's doing heel stuff to retaliate. Which one am I supposed to cheer for? Who am I supposed to boo? What are we doing here? So, promo of the week might have been Adam Pearce, by the way. I wanted to throw that out there. I
think you're onto something there, man.
Ooh, boy, that was great.
Yeah.
And he's always been great. It's just in WWE, he's never got to be great. He's never got to be his NWA run kind of great. Edge and Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
I think that's the one you missed, right?
Yes.
Well, I slept through most of this match.
We got the biggest turn of the year, though.
We did get the biggest turn of the year, which we definitely saw coming. They planted all the seeds in the flower group. So I don't know if he's joining Judgment Day, but he definitely turned.
Yeah, it was interesting that he didn't pledge his allegiance to them. I really thought this was a missed opportunity of, if Dominic's going to turn, Judgment Day should pick up the victory. I know we want to honor the legends that are Edge and Rey Mysterio. I'm all here for that. I just thought Judgment Day really could. To me, this is very similar, ironically, to House of Black. I know we jokingly have called
House of Purple.
House of Purple kind of like a great value version of House of Black, but they remind me of each other in that I thought Judgment Day really needed the win here.
Yeah.
Them taking another loss, to me, just solidifies their status as being kind of a joke of a faction. Like, okay, they're kind of spooky, but we know they're not going to win the big one. So if Dominic was going to turn, I really thought he was going to cost his dad the match. But in this case, like you said, Edge and Mysterio won, and then Dominic turned after the match. And this is really, from a physicality in ring perspective, probably as good as Dominic has looked. He hit Edge with the kick to the nether regions, and then hit a really stiff lariat on his pops. The taking off the shirt after, if he's not maybe in peak WWE performer shape, and obviously not here to body shame anyone whatsoever. I thought it was curious though that he did the classic, like, let me rip off the shirt. I'm no longer pledging allegiance to being a babyface. But I thought him doing that was like, oh no, you should probably just have had on a House of Purple shirt. You should have been rocking. You should have pledged your allegiance to Judgment Day and to Rhea Ripley. Not what we got.
Yeah. It was.
It was a little weird, right? It's like, Dom, you're not a body guy.
You got to take it off and like flex. I just,
that's not your wheelhouse. Yeah.
No, and it's fine. Like you said, not here to body shame or anything, but it's like, it's kind of like when you go to the cookout and there's like the really like older, upper middle-aged guy that hasn't seen even the inside of a gym in 15 years and is on his 6th or 7th beer and is eating his 4th hot dog, but is wearing a tank top.
Sure.
And you're looking at those just like, what are you showing us there?
The big dog tank top. Do you remember that brand?
Yes.
Okay. We're speaking the same language.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's like, I kind of felt like it was that. It's like, that's not intimidating when I see that stuff. No. When I see those arms hanging out of that tank top, I'm not going, oh, scary.
And maybe even more than just, commenting on the shirt removal. What's mystifying is that Dominic is still presented as being like a tempestuous teenager. It's like the man is legitimately in his mid-20s. Why are we presenting him as this confused boy who is turned on by Rhea Ripley and her domination, her dominatrix-like personality?
I mean, I don't blame him there. But...
fair. But also, like, I'm just surprised that we can't acknowledge, and because Dominic was on TV as a boy, like, we can just put years together if we wanted to, why he's being presented as an 18-year-old or 17-year-old maybe, even though we know the dude is like 24 or 25 at this point. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, I also don't like this whole like he's too smiley. I know it's weird, but it's like, I know you're new, you're with your dad who is half your size and a legend. I don't get the Dominic character. So I think this is the best thing that could have possibly happened for him. He gets to reinvent himself a little bit and maybe branch out, and because like Ray's not going to be there forever. Right now he's Ray's kid, and I'd like to see him go be Dominic Mysterio and carry on that legacy, whatever that looks like for Dominic. Because he's a talented kid. He's not the most talented guy on the roster, but he's also one of the youngest and least experienced. So we'll see what happens with him. I think it was the right move. I think it's good. I don't know what you do with Judgment Day. I'm ready for it to end.
Yeah.
Something needs to end it.
It's unfortunate, but to me, this is just that they just can't be taken seriously.
You can't have a long, intimidating, like giant winged entrance and stand there and look like you're about to take everybody out and then consistently lose.
Amen. Yep.
Yeah.
We agree.
Seth Rollins defeating Matt Riddle. I don't know if it was the right move to have Rollins beat Riddle, but Rollins won by distracting Riddle by bringing up his family again. And the look on Riddle's face at the end screamed to me Extreme Rules. So I think we're getting that one run back. And this is a great match. We got to see this live in Tucson when they're out there. So we knew they were going to do something.
We did.
That was before I saw the interview with Seth Rollins talking about how he can't stand Matt Riddle, but he's a professional and will work with him. Like in real life, can't stand him. So that was interesting, but the match itself I thought was really good. Give it to me again. We've seen him do a Tucson street fight, so I'm sure an Extreme Rules match isn't out of the question for these two. Roman beat Drew. Great match. This match was great.
It was so good. Big fight feel.
It might have been, I don't know if it's my favorite Roman title defense, but it's up there.
Yeah.
Like,
it was amazing.
That second one, I think it was the second one with KO. The one where he went off the second floor of the Thunderdome.
The last man standing at the Royal
The last
Rumble.
man standing, I think, was my favorite of his title defenses.
Okay.
That match just had a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
and then there was
the
first Mania back with I think it was with Edge and Brian.
Yeah,
Daniels.
Main event. Yeah, stack them on each other.
Smash him and stack him and
pin him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't the match itself. There was a moment when he put the mask on to go fight in the crowd.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes,
that got me. So yeah, that was one of my favorite moments.
I mean, this match though, in terms of a match, like, man, I just don't know. Other than a different finish, I'm sorry to cut you off. Other than a different finish, I don't know what I would change about the actual in-ring work itself.
No.
I mean, Roman playing to the crowd was maybe a bit much for some folks. It kind of went on and on in the beginning. But man, this was just an absolute heavyweight title fight in every sense of the word.
It went on. It did go on for a really long time, but from TV, I think being in attendance, you got to placate. You got 62,000 people there. They're in charge. If they're mad and want to do something about it, like, you can't do shit to stop it. Like, there's 62,000 people there that just, if they want to start all whipping bottles into the ring, you can't do anything about that. So let it breathe. Let it happen. I'm with you. The weirdest part of this whole thing, I would have been happy if it went out off air with Roman walking back and us not seeing what Drew did with Tyson Fury. Because what are they doing with Tyson Fury there? Are they setting something up? Because it didn't feel like they were setting anything else up there with, like, Tyson Fury to do WWE work. I think he was just there to punch Theory in the face, which was amazing and really stiff.
I forgot to mention that. That was pretty awesome.
That was great.
I'm not known to be a huge fan of either guy necessarily, but that was a great spot. They really worked me at that moment too, Brad, because I thought Theory was for sure cashing in, and you could have Drew pin Theory.
Yep.
So Roman drops the belts but doesn't get pinned.
So I was thinking,
did not go that direction.
Yeah. It just ended up being whatever, but
it would have made so much sense though, right?
I do like Theory failing all of these cash-ins and just getting knocked the hell out every time.
Yeah.
It's funny. I feel a little bit bad for Theory, who's just like, it very much feels like he's being buried, and I know that's not what's happening here. But I don't think you can give that man the titles right now. I just don't.
No, there's going to be a riot if that happens.
Yeah. Especially off of Roman. If he takes it off somebody else, fine. But maybe he starts going like, I can't go after this belt anymore. I'm going after the IC belt or the US belt. I think him going after Gunther would be fun. And like Gunther just getting up and just being like, no, and just beating the hell out of him after a cash in. I think it would be great. So this card, I don't know how to rank it. The wrestling's been really good in WWE this year on pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm. Really has.
WrestleMania Night 1 is still probably I really have a hard time ranking it because it's like, I want to say it's up there as number 1 for me. I went back and watched Night 2 not that long ago, and I got to tell you, man, I loved that Sami Zayn match after watching it again.
I'm so surprised. It didn't do it for me.
I focused on Sami so much more than I focused on anything else.
On the Japanese guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, fine, those guys, but watching Sami do all the heel work and be like an over-the-top heel, I'm taking you out, and like laughing in spots when he beats up the guys and all that stuff, to looking scared, to mouthing what the hell, to just looking around the ring, stammering around and getting beat up, like the walking away from Johnny with the taser, turning around and getting hit in the face with a giant hand was so much funnier the second time, because the first time it popped me, I'm not gonna lie. And then like the mouse traps on the table, the giant mouse trap to pin, And Johnny apparently before the match asking, hey, if this doesn't work, how do I make it work by itself? Because he pulled the string and the string broke. So you see him like grab it and like push it. It's because before the match started, he asked him how to do that. So he pulled it, the rope broke. So he just grabbed it and did it really quickly, like absolute pros pro. So knowing kind of how it was put together, I think I went back and watched it again and was like, this match is really good. It's absolute. This is the match that should have followed the tag match in AEW tonight. That would have been a perfect spot for an Orange Cassidy match or a Danhausen match that's a quick squash or something.
Yeah.
Instead of like, you're going to put the women's match after the whole crowd was chanting for other people and really high energy. You got to bring it down a little bit, give them breathing room, have Big Show go fight QT Marshall, like that kind of stuff. So
shout out to All Out 2021. When I was younger, that's just something I never considered was the pacing of the card. That really has to be a conversation with the shot callers backstage. Is like you said, Brad, you don't just throw these matches together and just sort of like, put them on a board and just throw a dart. It really is a cerebral process and really impacts, I think, how people perceive the show for the live audience, of course, but then us at home, if a crowd is not into a match, I think you could have a 4 or 5 star match, but maybe 5 stars is an exaggeration, but you could have a 4-star match. And if the crowd isn't into it, for me, it tends to maybe be closer to a 3-star. I don't know if that's a knock on me as a viewer at home, but your point about the pacing and that Sammy Johnny match being, smartly put together for the crowd, even though I didn't love it, I agree that it elicited emotion from the crowd. And ultimately, I think that's every performer's goal is, you're in trouble if, your fans are just seated and not doing anything.
Yeah, because I think the first match on Night 2 was that banger 3-way tag again, because we got it on Raw the night before or the week before, whatever. And then we got it again on the weekend, and it was incredible. That match ruled. That was one of my favorite matches of the year too. I don't know which one I liked better. I think the pay-per-view because I think it had more stakes or higher stakes just because it was a pay-per-view, it was Mania. But that match delivered. Randy delivered. Riddle delivered. RK Bro is a great tag team. I'm just thinking like this weekend in general, I thought all 3 pay-per-views had really great pacing. I don't think Braun should have won this weekend, but I knew he was going to win. I'd rather see him lose it. Have what's his face Bate,
Tyler Bate. Great match.
It was a great match. I love the dive into the top rope for momentum. I love that every time.
That's
every time.
And this time that led to his downfall. Great spear from Braun Breaker.
Yeah. I don't think Braun Breaker winning was bad or anything. I just would have rather see Bate take it and then Braun get called up because he's much more WWE guy than Bate. But I don't know if they're going to call Bate up or if they're going to just wait until they figure out NXT Europe.
Yeah, that's going to be fascinating to see. I think that this was, for me, this is probably my favorite Braun Breaker match to date.
Yeah.
And not only my favorite, but I think just...
It's my favorite because I've seen 2.
Yeah, taking bias out of it.
I don't watch NXT,
Yeah, right, exactly. Taking bias out of it, if that's possible here, I think just inarguably, it's one of his top worked matches. I thought this was just a great performance for Bate, a great performance for Braun Breaker. And it'll be fascinating to see not only what happens with Braun next as the face of NXT 2.0, particularly on the men's side.
Yeah.
But for Bate, man, I don't know. I'm tempted to say he'll be the face of NXT Europe, but I don't know. Maybe we see him on Monday or Friday this week. Who knows?
That 3-way tag was great. The Creeds need to go to the main roster at the end.
Yeah. The taller Creed brother
is
an absolute stud.
Yep.
He does stuff that I have not seen before from a guy his size.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
It was just, he just does. It's so unnecessary. He just does it.
Was
just
it
to show us.
Austin? I can't remember.
Oh, Julius. Brutus is the
Brutus.
Julius.
I think I'm thinking about their shoot names. I don't think it's actually Austin.
Oh, yeah. That dude is not named Julius, my friend. I highly doubt that. Yeah, he just does stuff like this time. He had one of the pretty deadly dudes in a suplex, just a vertical suplex, holding him. Yeah, right. And he went down, I think, like to his knees, still holding the guy in the suplex.
Yeah.
And then like a moment later, he just jumps up from the mat to the top rope, does a backflip, and then like it's just, oh my god, this dude is incredible. How like show that to someone who doesn't watch wrestling regularly, but just appreciates athleticism, and I think you would have them hooked. That guy has a bright future. I enjoyed that match.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I actually enjoyed most of the card.
Yeah, me too. Mandy Rose.
Mandy winning made sense. I didn't really want to see that, but I mean, who else are you going to put it on the other two?
Yeah,
Right
Satomura
now?
look great though.
Oh my god! But
She's
like,
phenomenal.
she's incredible,
Yeah.
incredible,
Yes.
and she was incredible when I watched her on Nitro.
I know she looks so good. I'm not as
Yeah,
hip to her career as most, but she looked awesome. Great
yeah,
for Blair Davenport, formerly
yeah.
Bea Priestley, who appeared on AEW in the beginning. She had a good showing. Yeah, that match was I thought really fun.
I thought it was fun. I think Davenport was there to be the person to eat the pin to keep the other
For
two
sure.
strong.
For sure.
Which is unfortunate because I'm whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Mandy winning is fine. I like Mandy. I think Mandy's had such a rejuvenation to her career in NXT.
Yeah.
Like that Mandy going up to the main roster makes a lot more sense than the Mandy we got that was dating
Yes.
Otis.
Yes. Yeah. It's been phenomenal for
Yeah.
her.
I'd like to see her go back up, and now she's instantly a credible threat.
Yeah.
Where before she was kind of a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. She was just Otis's lady. And then Caden and Casey retain their titles. I think that's a big win for them. I really hope there are good, meaningful plans ahead for Dewdrop, even though I cringe when I say the name. Dewdrop and Nikki ASH. I think they're both
Toxic
wonderful
Attraction
at what
came
they
out,
do.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think they're both wonderful at what they do. But big win for Caden and Casey.
Yeah. And I think Toxic Attraction going up to the main roster to do stuff up there.
Yep.
I think that the Creeds losing the strap is probably an indication that they're going to go up, and I want to see them go up there more. There's like 4 tag teams right now up there that are doing anything.
Yeah.
Alpha Academy just seems to be like feuding with singles people that get a tag team partner. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. And like you, as someone who is not hip to the weekly happenings on NXT, I listen to reviews sometimes, but I don't always watch very faithfully at all. I know they had a turn in this match. One of the Diamond Mine members, I think Damian Kemp, I want to say.
It was Kemp.
Beat
up Roderick Strong in the parking lot, the cursed parking lot.
Yeah, and then turned on Julia. So I would reason to think that the Creeds are still going to pop up this week on NXT television. But yeah, man, it seems like if we were to pick a few talents that we believe are most likely to be called up within the next month or so, I think the Creeds have to be up there. I think their characters certainly need work, but I just marvel at the taller Creed brother, at what Julius can do. It's pretty awe-inspiring.
Do you remember the first NXT event that I watched that you finally convinced me to watch?
Man,
it was the main event in
2020.
Yeah.
I believe, was this Karrion Kross versus Keith Lee?
No. It was well before that.
I think this was in your house. Was it Charlotte versus Rhea versus Io?
That might have been on the card, but it wasn't the main event.
That wasn't the main event.
The main event was a parking lot brawl. Between Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream. Yeah.
That was the main event.
That was the main event.
How unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it ended the night because I remember Adam Cole standing on top of a vehicle.
It was like a very dark parking lot,
very dark,
kind of a smoky atmosphere. I was gonna say that I remember this. There were a lot of people in the parking lot. It wasn't just Dream versus Cole. There were people surrounding, and yeah, man, the Velveteen Dream. Talk about a newsworthy week. I don't know that there's been a sadder, stranger, more precipitous downfall of such a promising wrestler in the last decade than Velveteen Dream. I mean, we could go probably an hour just on a retrospective of him. He was just universally recognized as not only a major player, soon to be major player on the WWE main roster, but a future WrestleMania main eventer. I know that term gets thrown around often, but when you have John Cena giving you a shout out on social media is like, yeah, this is the dude to look out for. I just, it's so sad, man. I hope the dude finds peace. I hope he rights his wrongs, if that's possible, or his alleged wrongs. I think this past week he got in trouble for drug possession in Philadelphia, and then something else related to battery. Just a terrible look. Terrible.
Yeah, and then there was the stuff that popped up on Twitter that apparently had been known for a while but hadn't been corroborated.
Yeah,
where he was trying to secretly take pictures or videos of people's penises. I just like, I don't know what's going on there, man. It's
some issues.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's in his 20s, I believe. Like
I think so.
It's just selfishly from a wrestling fan perspective and a former fan of his work, it's just really sad. Like this dude, he just had the bag ahead of him. He had titles ahead of him. And, it's not just he fell off of wrestling. He clearly has allegedly inflicted harm on people. And we know that's not okay.
Yeah. So this whole weekend, man, I'm exhausted. This whole
we
weekend,
almost put in a 2-hour episode here. I don't think we've done that to date, have we?
I think we've gotten close. We haven't crossed the 2-hour threshold. You got anything else you want to add? We can keep going. So you want to do a Rose report right now? Maybe a someday when you have kids.
I can't believe Monday is tomorrow as we record this. Brad, as much as I love our segments, and I hope our listeners and viewers do, the one or two that are still with us now for this episode, I think we covered things very thoroughly. I think we did our due diligence. I don't know if we said this, but Hook picked up the victory. I think we did over Angelo Parker, which was super fun.
What? Did we?
I don't know. We talked about it in great detail.
I said the match was longer than I expected, and that was
good call. Yeah, we love the three performers we saw there, 2.0 and then Hook. And yeah, you did give a shout out to Action Bronson. That's correct. My answer to you is no. I feel great about what we've done here. This was an exhaustive, fun episode. I loved hearing your thoughts. And like you said, what a weekend of wrestling. We put in a lot of hours, and I was thoroughly entertained on several occasions this weekend.
The one thing we didn't do that I have no interest in doing right now, listeners that are still here, please go to gimmickinfringementpod.com, go to the writing section and check out our picks, see how we did. I can tell you, I did not do great. I haven't tallied anything, but I'm guessing it's probably 50-50, if not lower than that. So yeah, here we are.
I think my batting average was very similar, Brad. Yeah, gimmickinfringementpod.com, at GIPod19 on Twitter, at 19M Group on Twitter. Brad is at Winduster. I am at Tyler J. McDowell. And Brad, it was a pleasure as always. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead full of joy and health and much success. And we hope that you all will join us on our next episode.
Likewise. Thank you.
Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Good Pods, our premier partners, and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.